Angela Lansbury was more than just an actress. She was a force of nature. From a teenage Oscar-nominated breakout in Gaslight to becoming Broadway royalty and the beloved Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote, she captivated audiences across generations. But behind the glamour was a story of resilience, personal sacrifice, and a lifelong passion for performance. This is the extraordinary journey of a woman who redefined Hollywood, conquered the stage, and became a timeless icon. Angela Lansbury was born on October 16, 1925, in Regent's Park, London, into a family where art, politics, and business were deeply intertwined. She was the daughter of Moyna McGill, a talented and accomplished stage actress from Belfast, and Edgar Lansbury, a wealthy English timber merchant and a passionate leftist politician. From the moment she was born, Angela was surrounded by the complexities of political activism and theatrical artistry, two contrasting yet complementary influences that would later shape both her career and her personal beliefs. Her mother, Moyna McGill, was a striking and sophisticated woman, well known in the British theatre scene for her commanding stage presence. She had appeared in numerous West End productions and several British films, making her a respected name in the industry. Angela grew up watching her mother perform, soaking in the magic of storytelling and performance from an early age. She often accompanied Moyna to rehearsals, marveling at the way actors transformed into different characters on stage. Her father, Edgar Lansbury, on the other hand, was deeply committed to social justice and political activism. As the mayor of the metropolitan borough of Poplar, he was actively involved in the Communist Party of Great Britain, advocating for workers' rights, wealth redistribution, and social reform. He was a man of strong convictions, passionate about improving the lives of the working class. His beliefs in justice and equality left a deep imprint on Angela, who grew up with a profound sense of empathy for the struggles of others. These early influences would later inform the way she approached her roles, particularly those that showcased strong, intelligent, and independent women. Angela had an older half-sister, Isolde, from her mother's previous marriage to director Reginald Denham. In 1930, when Angela was just 4 years old, her mother gave birth to twin boys, Bruce and Edgar, making her the eldest among her full siblings. The Lansbury family initially lived in a modest flat in Poplar, but as their family grew, they moved to a larger home in Mill Hill, North London, where Angela enjoyed a comfortable childhood. Despite her father's heavy political involvement and her mother's demanding career, she was raised in a household filled with love, music, and storytelling. The family often spent weekends in Barrack-Salome, Oxfordshire, where they owned a rural retreat. These trips gave Angela a strong appreciation for nature and quiet family moments, a contrast to the world of show business she would later enter. However, Angela's idyllic early years were cut short by tragedy. When she was just 9 years old, her father fell ill and died from stomach cancer. His death was sudden and devastating, leaving an unfillable void in Angela's heart. She later described this loss as the most formative tragedy of her life, a moment that forced her to mature far too quickly. Her once secure world was shaken, and she found herself searching for ways to cope with the overwhelming grief. In the wake of her father's passing, Angela turned inward. She sought solace in books, films, and imaginary worlds, often losing herself in fantasy as a means of escaping reality. She would spend hours reading, immersing herself in characters and stories, unknowingly sharpening the very skills that would one day make her one of the most celebrated actresses of her time. Her ability to understand emotion and embody different personalities was, in part, a result of these formative years spent navigating loss and change. As Angela struggled to process her grief, The world around her was also undergoing seismic shifts. By the late 1930s, political tensions in Europe were escalating rapidly, and Britain was on the brink of war. Nazi Germany's rise posed an increasing threat, and as war loomed, air raids and bombings became a terrifying reality for families across London. Angela's mother, deeply concerned for the safety of her children, made the difficult but necessary decision to leave England. In 1940, as World War II intensified, Moina relocated the entire family to the United States, hoping to rebuild their lives away from the dangers of war-torn Britain. They settled in New York City, a bustling metropolis that provided a stark contrast to the quiet comfort of their London home. The transition was not easy. Angela, now a teenager, was forced to adapt to an entirely new culture, a different education system, and the harsh realities of financial instability. Unlike their relatively comfortable life in England, money was now tight, and Moina struggled to find steady work in the American film and theater industries. Despite the challenges, Angela remained determined and resourceful. She knew that she needed to contribute financially to support her family, so she took a job working at a department store, earning just $28 a week to help make ends meet. But even as she worked to sustain her family, she never lost sight of her passion for performance. Realizing that acting could be her true calling, Angela enrolled at the Fegan School of Dramatic Art, where she trained rigorously in voice, movement, and classical theater techniques. Her instructors immediately recognized her talent. She had an innate ability to command attention and a voice that carried both grace and authority. It was during this time that she honed the skills that would later make her a Broadway and Hollywood legend. Her time in New York was a period of immense personal growth. She was no longer just a girl mourning her father or a displaced teenager trying to find her place in a new country. She was now a determined young woman with a clear sense of purpose. She threw herself into acting, studying tirelessly, watching films, and attending stage performances whenever she could. By the time she turned 17, her natural talent and unwavering dedication had begun to attract attention. It was only a matter of time before Hollywood came knocking, offering her the first real opportunity to showcase her talents on a grand scale. The moment that would change her life forever came unexpectedly, at a party hosted by her mother, where she met John Van Druten, a playwright and screenwriter, who saw something remarkable in her. He suggested that she audition for a pivotal role in the psychological thriller Gaslight, 1944. And in that moment, the trajectory of her life was set. Angela's big break came in the most unexpected way, through a chance encounter at a party hosted by her mother. Among the guests that evening was John Van Druten, a respected playwright and screenwriter who had just co-authored the screenplay for an upcoming psychological thriller titled Gaslight, 1944. The film was an adaptation of Patrick Hamilton's stage play and was being directed by George Cukor, one of Hollywood's most renowned filmmakers at the time. The story centered on a young woman who is manipulated into doubting her sanity by her cruel husband, and Van Druten immediately saw potential in the 17-year-old Lansbury for the role of Nancy Oliver, a flirtatious, conniving maid who secretly conspires against the heroine. Despite having no film experience, Angela auditioned and won the role, impressing both Cukor and the film's leading actress, Ingrid Bergman. However, since she was still a minor, Hollywood's child labor laws required her to have a social worker present on set throughout filming. Nevertheless, her performance was electrifying. She brought a mature, layered complexity to the role, portraying Nancy with both an air of calculated cunning and youthful naivety, making her character both charming and sinister. Her film debut was nothing short of extraordinary, Critics and audiences alike were astonished by her ability to hold her own against established stars like Bergman and Charles Boyer. The film was a commercial and critical success, and Lansbury's performance earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress, an almost unheard-of feat for a first-time actress. She was also nominated for a Golden Globe Award, launching her into Hollywood's spotlight overnight. Variety magazine famously declared that Angela had gone from unknown to movie star in just 4 days. Following Gaslight, MGM immediately offered her a 7-year contract, eager to capitalize on her talent. At just 18 years old, Lansbury had secured her place in Hollywood. However, while this contract provided financial stability and guaranteed her continuous work, it also meant that she was subject to the rigid control of the studio system, which dictated what kinds of roles she could and could not play. Hollywood, despite recognizing Lansbury's incredible ability, did not see her as a traditional leading lady. Instead, she was typecast in supporting roles, playing women who were often significantly older, manipulative, or villainous. Her very next role in National Velvet, 1944, had her playing Elizabeth Taylor's older sister, despite being only a few years older than Taylor in real life. This marked the beginning of a frustrating pattern. Lansbury, barely out of her teenage years, was already being pushed into roles of mature women, aristocrats, and scheming mistresses, roles that were far removed from her actual age and potential as a leading actress. Her next major role came in The Picture of Dorian Gray, 1945, where she portrayed Sybil Vane, the doomed music hall singer who falls for the mysterious and ageless Dorian Gray. Her fragile, heartfelt performance once again won her high praise, earning her a Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actress and another Academy Award nomination. Despite these accolades, the industry continued to confine her to supporting roles, rarely offering her the kind of leading parts given to actresses like Ingrid Bergman or Katharine Hepburn. The pattern continued. She played a saloon singer in The Harvey Girls, 1946, a cunning maid in Kind Lady, 1951, and even Spencer Tracy's wife in State of the Union, 1948, despite the fact that Tracy was more than 20 years her senior. She was repeatedly cast as aristocrats, scheming women, or maternal figures, solidifying a reputation as an exceptional character actress, but never a traditional starlet. Angela quickly realized that Hollywood had boxed her into a niche, and it wasn't going to change anytime soon. Though she was constantly working and her performances were consistently praised, she felt trapped. The golden age of Hollywood had strict beauty and youth standards for leading women, and while Lansbury possessed remarkable screen presence and talent, she did not fit the Hollywood mold of a classic romantic lead. The industry saw her as a supporting powerhouse rather than a leading lady, a frustrating reality that kept her from achieving the full scope of success she truly deserved. Angela Lansbury had spent years in Hollywood proving her talent, but the film industry's rigid typecasting had limited her growth. By the late 1950s, she realized that if she truly wanted to reinvent herself, she needed to step away from the silver screen and into the world of live theater. It was a risky move. Many believed she was just a Hollywood character actress, not a stage performer, but Lansbury was determined to prove them wrong. Her Broadway debut came in 1957 with Hotel Paradiso, a French farce that, despite only running for 15 weeks, earned her strong reviews. This performance reignited her passion for acting, and she soon followed with a highly praised role in A Taste of Honey, 1960, where she played Helen, a selfish and neglectful mother. This role allowed Lansbury to showcase her dramatic range, proving she could handle raw, complex characters. However, it wasn't until 1966 that Angela Lansbury truly became a star, on her own terms. She was cast in the title role of Mame, a Broadway musical based on the novel Auntie Mame. The character of Mame was the perfect fit for Lansbury, bold, eccentric, and full of life. At the age of 41, she had finally stepped into the spotlight as a leading lady, not a supporting character. Her performance won her the first of her 5 Tony Awards, catapulting her into Broadway superstardom. Following Mame, Lansbury cemented herself as a musical theater icon with acclaimed performances in Dear World, 1969, Gypsy, 1974, and Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, 1979. In Sweeney Todd, she played the diabolical but oddly lovable Mrs. Lovett, a role that showcased her ability to mix humor, darkness, and musical brilliance. Her performance was so mesmerizing that it won her another Tony Award and solidified her status as one of Broadway's greatest leading ladies. Despite her massive success in theater, Lansbury never abandoned the screen. After years of working in film with limited recognition, she landed what would become her most iconic role, Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote, 1984. At a time when Hollywood often overlooked older actresses, Lansbury defied expectations by leading a primetime television series at nearly 60 years old. As Jessica Fletcher, a mystery writer who also happened to be a brilliant amateur detective, Lansbury captivated audiences for 12 seasons. The show became one of the longest-running detective series in television history, making her a beloved figure in millions of households around the world. Lansbury's intelligence, warmth, and sharp wit made Jessica Fletcher one of TV's most enduring characters, and the role earned her 4 Golden Globe Awards. Beyond the screen, Lansbury took full creative control of her career. She and her husband, Peter Shaw, co-owned the production company Cormor Productions, which took over the show in its later years. This allowed her to have a say in the direction of Murder, She Wrote, ensuring that it maintained its quality and longevity. While some actors struggled to transition between film, television, and theater, Lansbury mastered all 3. Her success on Broadway made her a legend. Murder, She Wrote, made her a household name. And her persistence proved that true talent transcends age, industry limitations, and expectations. Though she could have retired comfortably after the show ended in 1996, Lansbury never truly stepped away from acting. She continued making guest appearances, taking on roles in TV films, and even lending her voice to animated classics like Disney's Beauty and the Beast, 1991, where she voiced Mrs. Potts. With an unparalleled career spanning over 8 decades, Angela Lansbury became one of the most versatile and respected performers in entertainment history. She may have started as a Hollywood character actress, but she ended as a true star, one who commanded the stage, screen, and the hearts of audiences worldwide. Angela Lansbury's personal life was a blend of triumph and hardship, reflecting a deep sense of resilience, sacrifice, and devotion. Lansbury's first marriage to Richard Cromwell at 19 years old was a result of youthful passion and the search for emotional security. Cromwell at 35 was significantly older and more experienced, which may have appealed to Lansbury, who had lost her father at a young age and was looking for stability. However, the marriage ended abruptly when she discovered that he was gay. This revelation must have been emotionally confusing and painful, as it came at a time when Lansbury was still coming into her own as a woman and actress. Despite the heartbreak, their lifelong friendship after the divorce highlights Lansbury's emotional maturity and compassion. Rather than harboring resentment, she chose to maintain a connection with Cromwell until his passing in 1960. This shows her capacity for forgiveness and understanding, traits that would define many of her later personal and professional relationships. Her second marriage to Peter Shaw in 1949 was a completely different experience, one built on mutual support, companionship, and longevity. Unlike her first marriage, this relationship provided her with a stable foundation in both her personal and professional life. Shaw, being an actor and producer, understood the industry's demands and helped Lansbury navigate the challenges of Hollywood. Their partnership lasted 54 years, making it one of the most enduring relationships in the entertainment industry. One of the most defining struggles of Lansbury's personal life was her effort to balance her demanding career with her responsibilities as a mother. Like many successful women in Hollywood, she faced the constant challenge of being away from her children for long periods while filming movies, performing on Broadway, or later working on Murder, she wrote. Although she expressed the desire to prioritize her family, she later acknowledged that the demands of her career took a toll on her children. This conflict between professional success and personal sacrifice is a common theme among working mothers, especially in the entertainment industry. Her children's descent into drug addiction in the late 1960s was a devastating blow, especially considering the dangerous grip of heroin abuse in Hollywood at the time. Lansbury, who had spent her career portraying strong, intelligent women on screen, now faced one of the most difficult battles in her personal life, saving her children. Rather than remaining in Los Angeles and risking further harm to her children, Lansbury made a drastic but life-saving decision. She uprooted her family and moved to rural County Cork, Ireland. This was a remarkable act of self-sacrifice. For someone who had built her career in Hollywood, stepping away at such a pivotal time could have been seen as professional suicide. However, her instincts as a mother took precedence over her ambition, and this decision ultimately saved her family. The move to Ireland provided a safe, peaceful environment for her children to recover away from the dangerous influences of Hollywood's drug culture. The outcome validated her sacrifice. Her son Anthony overcame his addiction and even went on to become a successful television director, working on Murder, she wrote. Her daughter Deidre also recovered and later opened her own restaurant, demonstrating that her mother's intervention had a profound and lasting impact on their lives. This period in Lansbury's life highlights her extraordinary strength as a mother. It also shows that while she was an internationally recognized star, her biggest role was that of a protector and nurturer, proving that family always came first for her. Lansbury's biggest personal tragedy came in 2003 when Peter Shaw, her husband of 54 years, passed away. Having built a life and career together, his death left an enormous void. Losing a life partner after so many decades can be an emotionally shattering experience, especially for someone as deeply devoted as Lansbury. However, rather than retreat into grief, she did what she had always done, kept moving forward. At a time when many would consider retirement, she continued acting well into her 80s and 90s, finding solace in her work and the legacy she had built. Angela Lansbury's final years were a testament to her unwavering dedication to the craft that had defined her for over 7 decades. Even as time took its natural course, she refused to fade away quietly. She remained an active presence in the industry, embracing new roles on stage, screen, and even in animation, ensuring that her impact continued to span across generations. Her return to Broadway in her 80s was nothing short of remarkable. Winning her 5th Tony Award for Blithe Spirit in 2009, she reminded audiences and critics alike that age had done nothing to dull her charisma or her ability to command the stage. She followed this triumph with A Little Night Music and The Best Man, further proving that she was a force of nature, defying expectations and shattering industry norms about aging in entertainment. Beyond the theater, her voice remained one of her most recognizable trademarks. For younger generations, she was best known as Mrs. Potts, the kind and wise teapot from Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Her tender performance of the film's title song became one of the most cherished moments in Disney's history. Even decades after the film's release, she reprised the song for the film's 25th anniversary, her voice still carrying the warmth and elegance that had endeared her to millions. She continued to lend her voice to animation, appearing in Anastasia and the Grinch, ensuring that even those who had never seen her on stage or in classic films would still recognize the gentle yet commanding presence she brought to every role. Recognition for her legacy poured in during her later years. Despite never winning a competitive Academy Award, she was finally honored with an honorary Oscar in 2013 for her unparalleled contribution to film. The award was long overdue, a celebration of a career that had spanned from noir thrillers in the 1940s to beloved family classics. She also received a BAFTA Lifetime Achievement Award and was nominated for the Emmy Award a staggering 18 times, though a win always eluded her. In 2014, she was made a Dame by Queen Elizabeth II, the highest honor bestowed upon British entertainers, a fitting tribute to a woman who had long been regarded as royalty in the world of performance. Even in her 90s, Lansbury continued to work selectively, making her final film appearance in Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery in 2022, a brief but delightful cameo that paid homage to her legacy as one of the greatest mystery actors of all time. It was a poetic full-circle moment. Jessica Fletcher, the role that had made her a household name in Murder, She Wrote, was one of television's most beloved detectives. And here she was one last time playing a knowing nod to that character in a modern whodunit. Her passing on October 11th, 2022, just 5 days before her 97th birthday, marked the end of an era. She died peacefully in her sleep at her home in Los Angeles, a quiet and graceful departure for a woman who had lived a life so full of passion and artistry. The world mourned the loss of one of the last true legends of the golden age of Hollywood. Broadway dimmed its lights in her honor. Actors and directors who had worked with her shared heartfelt tributes, and Disney re-released clips of her singing Beauty and the Beast, ensuring that her voice would continue to comfort audiences for years to come. Her legacy is one of reinvention, resilience, and excellence. She defied Hollywood's expectations, proving that women could lead television shows well into their 60s and beyond. She dominated Broadway, redefining musical theater with her bold performances. She left an imprint on animation, lending her voice to characters who would outlive her, forever tied to childhood nostalgia. Angela Lansbury was more than just an actress. She was a pioneer, a storyteller, and an enduring figure of grace and strength. Though she has left this world, her presence remains, on film, on stage, and in the hearts of those who grew up watching and admiring her. A career that spanned nearly 80 years, a life that touched millions, and a name that will never be forgotten.